Hello and welcome to Qsports. I'm Amputee Gajaga. Thank you very much for joining us. Coming up tonight, the Confederation of African Amputee Football held their Congress in Luanda, Angola. We'll be talking about that Congress and as well as how amputee football is played in the Gambia. How popular is the sport? Do people even know that some people who are amputees are playing football? We'll also be talking about volleyball. The Gambia men's beach volleyball team won gold and secured the all-important spot in the qualification of the Birmingham Commonwealth Games 2022. And they did this in style by beating South Africa 2-0. We'll also be looking at that important story. And as well as the Scorpions of the Gambia. They've moved at least 2 places in the FIFA rankings. That is after playing in the preliminaries of the 2023 CAF Africa Cup of Nations, where in Ivory Coast is going to be the host country. They played against Chad over 2 legs, and in the second leg, the Gambia were just 5 minutes away from being eliminated. But guess what? They got back into the game. Also, we'll be looking at that story. All that on tonight's Qsports. Welcome and thank you if you're just joining us. This is Qsports and I'm Amputee Gajaga. First, we're going to look at amputee football. And we have in the studio Dauda Keita, the president of the Gambia Amputees Football Association, to talk to about amputees football in the Gambia and their recently held Congress in Luanda, Angola. Tonight, we're talking about amputee football. The Confederation of Amputee Football Africa held a Congress in Luanda a few weeks ago. And joining me in the studio is the president of the Gambia Amputee Football Association, Dauda Keita. Dauda, welcome to the studio.
Thank you, Gajaga. Thank you for giving me the opportunity. My name is Dauda Keita, the president of Gambia Amputee Football Association. I will start by introducing what is amputee football first. Amputee football is a football that played by amputees or on polio. It is a 7-man game, 6 people inside and 1 goalkeeper. The goalkeeper should be 1 hand and the players should be 1 leg. And they have their own rules and regulation of sport also. But Gambia Amputees Football started in the Gambia way back 2018. It was started and founded by the Gambia Amputees Association because we have a main body that called Gambia Amputees Association. So, it founded by those people, and we started playing has 3 or 4 people to come together and at least get a phone. So this is how we develop and gradually, develop it to a team standard.
And now you in fact have a national team.
Absolutely.
That represented the Gambia in Tanzania.
Yeah, so this is how we grow to have a team. So, but through belief in ourselves, we can make it as amputees. But this is why we also try to be part of the African Amputees Football Federation. Last year was our first time and the first time of Gambia in the history to attend amputees football. So we went to Tanzania to participate African Amputees Football Nation. And
in that competition, you were ranked 9th. You played against the likes of Liberia, Sierra Leone, Cameroon and the likes. Tell us about that competition. How did it go? Yeah,
it was a very challenging to us, especially as the first time, we went there without, full of preparation. But we try our level best as amputees because we believe so. We have a place to represent for the country, and when it comes to sport, So this is how we went there. We played 5 games and lose 2, win 3. We played against Zanzibar, Tanzania, Liberia, Cameroon, and Nigeria itself, and with Uganda. So we lose 2 games and win 3 games. That brings us African 9 ranking in amputees football.
Okay. Locally in the Gambia, how is amputee football? Do people know that amputees play football? Because I know some of the amputees, they got theirs through accidents, others through disease. Some, in fact, started on to be sitting on a wheelchair, but later on they said to themselves, well, we can use crutches. And most of the amputees that play football, I've watched them live play, but they use crutches to support themselves.
Yeah, that's the rules of amputee football. But recently in the Gambia, we are developing, because we went in 2021, we went to Angola and Tanzania with just 2 teams. But when we come back from December to now, we can at least establish after 4 teams now. So we have almost 5 regions in 5 regions that have amputee football teams now.
In the country?
In the country now.
Okay.
Yeah, we're starting to develop in Amba, but we are working towards our registration to National Sport Council to get the responsibility, the fully mandate to run amputee football in the Gambia. So that's our that is what we are working on towards now. But almost we are at the end of that process too. But amputee football is getting, we are trying to show out the people that, amputees can play football, and we are trying to sensitize people to know about amputee football. But there are so much challenges we're facing.
Well, we'll come to some of those challenges straight away. What are some of them? Because I understand some amputees or people will physically challenged persons would go onto the street, some of them to beg. Yeah. But you as a people decided that, you know what, we can really contribute something positive to society. We can play football, we can have fun, we can even play football like able-bodied athletes who have no physical challenges in terms of comparing them to other people. Tell us about that.
Yeah, thank you very much. When it comes to challenges and difficulty we facing, there are too much, absolutely. Because basically, as a football team, we almost train together, because amputee football, we have only 7 people in the time of playing. So we almost train as 4 teams in the same pitch. So those that are one of the most difficulty we are facing. Okay. Access of football ground. We don't have a proper football ground, because the one we are using is just a compound, I call it, in Suguta here. So that are one of our main challenges. After that, transport is one of our biggest problem too, to have access to go to the field. So these are some of these challenges we are facing.
Do you face discrimination?
Yeah.
Because I had interviews previously with physically challenged persons. For even to stop drivers, especially commercial drivers, to pick them up, the drivers would think that they are wasting our time.
Yeah, that's true. Absolutely. This is why I tell you about transport challenges. When they see you with your crutches or a wheelchair, you break them, they always determine that you will waste their time. So it gives us very tough time sometimes to join, the public transport. So transport is one of our biggest challenges. Yeah, when it comes to that. And then the other thing is absolutely we are forgetting. We are not considered muchly, because if you look recently this Tanzania trip, we went there to represent the Gambia. Sure, but if you look at that trip, all the supports or all the expenditure that we did there was from our own pockets, because
Oh really? No support from either the Ministry of Sports, Sports Council, and other associations?
Yeah, we have a very little support from the Ministry of Youth and Sport. He supports us with a maximum of $145,000 out of 17 people. That's our allowance and pocket money, the whole team. So, but if you look at through the logistical of that team, that journey,
because air ticket alone would be very expensive.
It's very expensive, I tell you. How we come to make this journey is by we having a donors in UK. They are, charity organization. They usually help us when it comes to legs and other things that we need. So those are the
prosthetic limbs.
Yeah, prosthetic limbs, exactly. So those are the people who support us to make this dream come true, because they support us money, around £11,000. They give us the money. Do it. What do you want to do it? So But as amputees, we also feel that we want to do something for ourselves. We don't just feel like we are amputees, sit and, has what Gambian people have a belief that amputees is always there, we go and beg at the street. So these are the mentalities we want to, remove. These are the things that we want to tell people that as much we are amputees, but we have something to do, and we can do something still. So they give us this £11,000 and tell us that do it, what do you want to do it? So, but we suggested with my team that, still this is our dream. We want to participate and, at least push something for Gambia. So this is where we take that £11,000 instead of, getting the money and benefit our individual interests, or we take the money to buy our tickets. That's how the journey comes on. Okay. Yeah, but basically the money was for us, so but we decided to pay it for our flight tickets. Okay. Yeah.
That aside, you've talked about having regional teams in each region, at least to have a team there, at least in 5 regions. Yeah. Do you have in your plans to have a league where there would be competitions?
Yeah, solely. We also have a plan of it, but basically, the league, we already do the logistical work of it, but the challenges here is the fund. But we already expecting a fund from a donor to make sure this will possible. So we have to wait for that fund. Maybe next 5 months, inshallah, Gambia will watch Amputee's football league in the Gambia. Okay. Yeah.
All right. In terms of your affiliation with international bodies and corporations, first you've talked about the Congress which was held in Luanda, Angola, which you yourself attended. Tell us about that Congress. It was an elective Congress to elect a new executive.
Yeah, concerning about the bodies affiliated outside, as our first time, we were able to be part of the World Amputee Football Federation. We paid our membership fee to be part of it, but we didn't get our voting right fully, because they were requested a document from us that we need to have from the Youth and Sport Minister through the NSC, National Sport Council. But that was some of the difficulties we were working on, towards to get that fully voting right in the World Federation. But when it comes to the African Federation, before called FAF, but now we changed the name to CAF, Confederation of African Amputees Football. It started in Tanzania when Gambia has the first time. I attended the National Assembly of Amputees Football as the first time. I went there to represent the Gambia. Then, the Congress was meant to re-elect another executive, but due to some of the mismanagement of the federation in the previous years, so people, we decided to dissolve the committee. So when they dissolved the committee, I was selected to be part of the interim committee as the first time to attend the National Assembly. Okay. Yeah. So it started from there. It's where we started the General Assembly. So we were given a mandate of 90 days to run the election affairs. So we started in Tanzania, but unfortunately at the end of the day, there was we have a roadmap of hosting and being part of the election. So 5 countries comes to get the interest of hosting the General Assembly. So in those 5 countries, Angola was part of it, but Angola win the hosting. So they host the General Assembly, and I went there to represent the Gambia and to represent Africa as an interim committee member for the African Amputee Football.
For the foreseeable future, when it comes to amputee football in Africa, are you looking forward for amputee football to be recognized by the International Olympic Committee, Paralympics to be precise? Because as it stands right now, amputees football is not part of the Paralympics. Maybe as executive committee members, are you pushing for that?
Yeah, that's a very good question, because recently, if you see, the Paralympic people have talked about that already, and it is their plan to introduce it into their own level. They have this agreement, because recently, our even recent African president he was the president of African Paralympic Committee president. He's the recently president of African Amputee Football. So this is part of their plan, and already at the NPC level, they have that discussion and finalized. But we are trying to develop that. Which the Amputees football also will be very happy to part of it, because being part of the Para-Olympic Committee will at least give us more strength on recommendation when it comes to disabled sport, because they are the body responsibility for all disabled sport matters. So as Amputees people, we'll be very happy to be part of it, and we are working towards that. So maybe maybe next couple of years, we will try to we will start to see Amputees football in Para-Olympic Games.
Okay. Let's also talk about some of the risk factors of being an amputee footballer, because we've seen even in the normal football, sometimes players suffer from injuries that are career-threatening, knee, ankle injuries. You can even, have some concoction whether your brain is going to be damaged and injuries like that. So when it comes to amputee football, how do you deal with those kind of challenges, the risk factor?
Yeah, they are part of this system. Recently, as people always tell me, how do these people play with their stick? They don't hit each other. But there is a rules and regulation of the game. So you have to apply the rules. When you get mistakes, the referee is there to be the judge of the game. But comparing all those risk factors we're talking about, it is in our consideration. It's just the level we are into now. We are trying to develop this to a standard football, like any other footballs, because previously, if you look at Amputees football, it's getting very big in Africa. When it comes to Africa itself, especially in the world, Amputees football is getting very big now. So, but all those risk factors we're talking about, we consider it, and we are, we work towards, guiding players of such injuries and such problems in sport. But it always happens in sport. Sometimes, you come across to a thing that you don't even expect to be. But we are trying to make sure all those things are considered, and we will make sure we bring out our best policies for those kind of injuries when it comes to Amputees football.
You are an executive member. You are the president of the Gambia Amputees Football Association. Have you engaged the ministry in terms of some of the challenges that you have, and how are you going to overcome this?
Yeah, it's always a challenge to us even to get the ministry, I can tell you, because I'm always active on that, keep on writing, going to their offices. But it's always challenges to us. Absolutely, the consideration is less. And, we get it very difficult to get touch with them. All what we do, we base it on lobbying. To be frank with you, the government are not supporting yet. And, we are calling for them to support, but at the moment they are not supporting us. It gives us very difficult to have access to, explain our situation to them.
So how does that make you feel as amputee footballers? Do you see yourself as being discriminated?
Yeah, absolutely. We feel discriminated sometimes, because recently I think as the Minister of Youth and Sport is the body responsibility for all sport affairs in the country. We should be having equality access to them, but it always gives us tough time when having access to them. Recently, I tell you, when I come from Tanzania 2021, I write a report and pass it to the ministry, but still today I cannot get a contact about a report. I have to go back and ask them, oh, but I write a report, nobody responds to me. But yeah, we see the report, and they have to tell us that they see the report and the permanent secretary have signed it. But that's the end of it. And absolutely, we need government to help us very well, because other donors from other NGOs are ready to support us. But at least we are doing this for the country. They need to see the government attention to at least give them hope and more willingly to support us. But it's always a challenge to us when our matters comes to the governments. Yeah, it's always a big challenge to us.
Yes, Dauda, too many challenges. I'm sure we will have some other time to have a detailed discussion on amputees football. And when it comes to the media, you can always knock on my door.
Yeah.
I'll be available, because for me, every sport is important.
Absolutely.
It doesn't matter whether the sport is being played by able bodies or people who have physically a challenge issues. I think we should give a fair treatment, especially in terms of coverage. I cover every sport.
Absolutely.
So we will get you here some other time to talk about all these things, and we'll see how amputee football is developing. Thank you very much for your time.
Thank you, guys.
That's Dauda Keita, President of the Gambia Amputee Football Association. We had a session to talk about amputees football in the Gambia, and they recently held Congress in Luanda, Angola, where he returned from. We'll also have some other discussions on Qsports. Stay tuned. And now let's talk about volleyball. The Gambia men's beach volleyball team has won gold in the qualifiers for the Birmingham Commonwealth Games, and they did that in style, beating South Africa by 2-0. And this men's beach volleyball team are champions for the second time after triumphing also in the 2019 African Games, which was held in Rabat, Morocco. And more details in this report. As African champions and the top-ranked beach volleyball team on the continent, the Gambia's pair Seni Jao and Baiba Bujara dispatched their continental rival South Africa in straight sets on Monday in Ghana. The first set ended with a 21-8 humiliation of South Africa, who then rallied in the second set, but could only narrow the margin of defeat to 20-18. This was sweet revenge for the Gambia, who had lost to South Africa in a similar score in their group opener. These are their reactions to the victory.
It's very, very hot, and the weather was so windy, So, but at the end, alhamdulillah, we were able to cope with the system and with the weather. So, alhamdulillah, it was to meet the goal for the Gambia. So that's it. Thank you very much.
Thank God we were able to achieve our ultimate objective, that is to win the gold medal and qualify for the Commonwealth Games. We are so happy, so delighted about the victory.
But we know we can do it because they played up to the decided set. They beat them only few points. But Seni assured me, don't worry. We know this place, we know each other. Bible also assured me, don't worry. It's going to be okay. Then as we progress, as we are going the second game for the semi-final, it's quarterfinals and the semi-finals, the boys prove themselves to that the whole people, the gathering, that they are professionals and they have shown it.
Birmingham Commonwealth Games 2022 will be held from the 28th of July until 8 August 2022. More than 5,000 athletes from across 72 nations and territories will participate in 283 events. This will be the second staging of beach volleyball at the Commonwealth Games, and it is scheduled to take place between the 30th of July and 7th August. Finally, let's talk about the Scorpions of the Gambia and the Gambia national team in particular, because they've moved 2 places in the FIFA rankings, the latest ranking which were held. And now globally, at least they've also gone up. They are ranked 123rd in the world and 32nd in Africa, just ahead of Zimbabwe in 33rd, and the Gambia is ranked 34th in Africa in that order. And that is largely because of their performance in the last qualifier preliminaries when they played against Chad. In the first leg, which was played in Cameroon in Yaoundé, it ended 1-0 for Gambia. And in the return leg, that is literally, the Gambia played their home match in Morocco. And in that home match, Tanzania were just a whisker away from eliminating the Gambia just 5 minutes before time. Well, the Gambia benefited from a penalty which was scored by Hassan Cisse, and 2-2 it ended, 3-2 on aggregate. And the Gambia progressed now into the group phase of the 2023 Africa Cup of Nations in Ivory Coast. So that ends the story. And thank you very much for watching Qsports. That's all we have time for you. Have a pleasant night. Bye.